É, não deu certo aquele jeito, velho. Não tinha nada que fazia sentido pra mim botar, velho.
Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Como ela sumiu?
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely.
Ou ela ainda tá aqui, pô. A única hipótese é essa, que ela nunca saiu.
You can just make a real live person disappear, you know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Fugir do tanque de água mágica. Espere, será que ela foi a água?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
Acho que ela foi levada, hein, pela água.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Objeção.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time.
De novo?
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Coalla, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
A água.
The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Ah, então era a única que era a única que não dava pra seguir. Ué, espaço não vai?
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
Eu solicito examinar os itens pessoal de Coalla. Podemos encontrar algo lá.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about 2 completely different things.
Tá com medo?
Even so, I trust the traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Coalla.
Por algum tempo, guard retorna com notícias.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately.
Que diz? O que tá
The
retulado?
notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea.
Água do mapa mundial.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. it is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowl was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results, but we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that.
E lá vamos nós, 30 minutos, tentar descobrir isso aqui, né? Água do mar primordial. Um líquido que os guardas encontraram na bagagem de Coalla parece possuir habilidade de dissolver os habitantes de Fontaine em água. Tá, selecione qualquer pista para ver informações detalhadas. Tá.
The deceased's name is Cowl, Linny's assistant.
Vou escolher ele. Que item usou para controlar o tempo de dissolução? Foi isso aqui. Que item culpado usou para dissolver? Não, isso aí já foi na ordem errada, então. Troca. Controlar o tempo.
Did she have something to do with this? I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have something to do with this? The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. As such, the focus here is on the water and not the tank.
Não faz muito sentido. Eu achei que era a água. Mas a água aqui, ó. Que tu usou para dissolver? É isso. Escolha a pista, é esse aqui. Que item o culpado usou para esconder o mecanismo por trás do crime? Foi isso aqui. Que item o culpado usou para controlar o tempo de dissolução?
Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have something to do with this?
Acho que pode ser isso aí. É, essa última que eu não sei. Vamos botar essa aqui. Era isso, tá. Os três aqui foi mais rápido, né? Que deu pra entender um pouco. Mas esse aqui que eu não tá entendendo qual botar. Por que a gente não tá falando, né, Paimon?
Would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel. with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Boa, vambora. Tamo empatado. Isso é...
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence.
Conte
I shall
mais.
now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be. Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully.
Mas ele pode ter botado isso pra culpar ele quando tudo acontecesse. Ainda tá fácil de fugir disso aí.
My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close.
E vamos começar a refutar de novo.
Did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent.
Tá.
Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Coalla then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime.
Tá.
Ultimately, he knocked Coalla out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the
Fatui pega muito, né, velho? É um peso. Ai.
Am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal.
Ué, vamos tentar.
Is this the end of the road?
Tá, vamos tentar lá, né? Nossa.
Oh no. I can't think of anything either. It doesn't look like there's any way around this. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen now?
Ué, só provar que ele pode ter botado isso pra quando desaparecesse e botar a culpa no cara.
And we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning. I believe this is indeed the finale.
E acendeu mais uma luz, e aí?
Then, my good, noble chief. Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linny, if you would be so kind.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette, give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
Click.
And voila.
Esses caras com óculos aí. Ué.
Sorry for the interruption.
Ué.
Wait, isn't that Halsey?
Halsey?
So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin?
Do começo.
I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Coalla. I admit it.
Ih, rapaz.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lily.
Liliane.
And I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and
Cara, o cara foi botar você na outra caixa, velho.
I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Eu falei, ela não saiu da ópera.
Can a person even hide in there?
Se tiverem a prática de se esconder, provavelmente. Uma lada profissional deveria fazer isso funcionar.
But I swear I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it.
Ué, não foi disso.
I wouldn't have put him in the magic box.
A gente vai ter que defender ela agora.
But I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
É hora de refutar o raciocínio anterior da Contidro.
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Liliane's perspective.
Tá, a gente vai ter que contar a história na perspectiva da Liliane. Procurar. Uma máquina que foi usada durante o espetáculo mágico. Acho que é a máquina, né? Não é a máquina, não funciona aqui. Cara, eu tô sem paciência. Acho que nenhum desses aqui vai funcionar, mas eu tô sem paciência, só vou clicando, velho. Nenhum desses aqui vai funcionar, não. Essa primeira história como inocente não vai, né? Eventos do túnel. Eu tô sem paciência de ficar lendo, sendo sincero, velho. Só quero acelerar, velho. Acho que nesses fatos aqui não tem como refutar, não. Nesses dois primeiro. Ah, tem, ó. Ok. Já perdi a paciência, tá? O começo foi divertido, agora eu perdi a paciência. Tá, calma aí, deixa eu ver aqui. A fuga da senhorita apavorada. Depois que a água do mar primordial caiu, Liliane pensou que seria capturada por céu correndo, fazendo um grande barulho. Pensou em desfazer seu companheiro, tá. Uma corda que estava empilhada no chão, aponta que tinha um gancho, não é o número. O fragmento de um vaso quebrado que estava na água. Pode ter sido quebrado porque ela empurrou. Tá.
but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowl.
Tá. Ele não nocauteou ninguém, né? O caso pertence... foi uma mulher que desapareceu, foi encontrada no túnel sem razão. Também isso aqui não vai ajudar, não, né? Eu acho que isso aqui vai ajudar. Era isso? Você viu? Eu tenho que seguir meus instintos, cara. Super Detetive Paimon.
Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowl leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian had not dissolved. He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force Lillian back into the box. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top, knocking Cowl out and putting him in the box. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance
acabasse. Pulei antes, né? Ô, a gente nunca tá ganhando isso aqui, hein, velho.
She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the opera house these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated balloon now.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowl, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowl thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box, and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowl entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings.
Ai, cara, esses julgamentos, né? Como sempre, demoram muito. Mas a gente vai terminar no próximo, provavelmente, né? Vamos continuar no próximo.